What's up, gangsters? I'm back to take a look at some more Stephen King movies. Or, you know, movies based on the work of Stephen King. It's been a while, but as you might remember, last time we ended with Stand By Me. And, well, that was great, wasn't it? So, it would be nice if we can keep up with that quality a little bit, but, well, let's see. Because first on today's list is, The Running Man. From 1987. It's a great year. So, well, let's take a look. But hang on, this is based on the work of Richard Bachman. What's going on? Well, quite simply put, Richard Bachman is just a pen name that Stephen King adapted to be able to publish more than one book per year. So, with that out of the way, let's continue. Oh no, it's the distant future. You know, the one that starts in like 3 months. It's always funny to see how they predict future technology in these type of movies. It's quite advanced. Also, this future still feels very much just like the 1980s, in which, coincidentally, this movie was made. Anyway, there's a shortage in natural resources, and the government is ruling the state with an iron hand. You know the drill, you've probably read and seen dystopian sci-fi before. Television is also under control of the state, and the most popular show in the whole entire world is The Running Man. A show where an enemy of the state is put in this huge arena, and where he has to try and escape from the so-called stalkers, but by running, I guess. Basically, this movie is kind of a 1984 meets Battle Royale or the Hunger Games. But then again, this whole idea is nothing all that new, really. So, at one point, falsely convicted Ben Richard becomes a contestant on the show, but he is freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he just kicks everybody's ass. That's basically the whole movie. Speaking of Arnold, he might be a professional actor. As in, I've heard a lot of directors saying that he's very pleasant to work with, but I never thought that he was that good of an actor.
Fuck you.
Yeah, great delivery there, buddy. But, you know, he's just doing what he does best. Be muscular, punch people in the frickin' face, and throw around corny one-liners.
Give you a lift? I'll be back.
Wait, did he really just pull a I'll be back line in a non-Terminator movie? What's going on? Is that wait. Anywho's, yeah, sure, it's a silly premise, but I guess it sort of works. My main problem is that the whole movie just feels a little dated. But if you love that 80s vibe, you know, give it a go. I did really enjoy Richard Dawson as the evil game host, you know, the host of The Running Man. It's sort of a satire on himself when he was the host on Family Feud, or so I can imagine. It's fun stuff. Besides that, it's okay, I guess. Maybe the book itself, maybe it has some more interesting social commentary. I wouldn't know since I haven't read it, of course. I mean, I guess it's there in the movie as well. It's just, you know, it's all a little obvious and not that interesting. So, you know, let's just leave it at that and let's continue to the next movie, the next Stephen King adaptation. And, well, with the next movie, we're going back to the horror genre, with perhaps one of his more popular adaptations. It's, Pet Sematary. And no guys, that's not my broken English, you know, the word cemetery. It's just the stupid kids in the story. But I'll come back to that later. Let's just take a look at this movie. So, this family with 2 kids, they move into this new place right next to a road where a lot of big trucks pass, and, well, because of that, where a lot of pets get killed. And then so, because of that, the kids in this town, they build a little pet cemetery, and I guess nobody ever told them they misspelled it. Dumb kids. So at one point, of course, the new family, their cat dies as well. And then this sweet old neighbor tells the father, like, dude, listen, you can also bury him like half a mile past the pet cemetery at this Native American burial ground, and, you know, something crazy will happen. And the dad's like, sure, why not? That doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. And what do you know? The freaking cat comes back to life. He's mean as shit now, but hey, that's cool, you know, with a cat. But how about when, oh, I don't know, your kid dies? Not saying that that's what happens in this movie, also not saying that it doesn't happen, or that it doesn't not happen, but just imagine, hashtag no spoilers. And all of this is based on King's personal experience. The busy road and the pet cemetery, that is, not so much the animals coming back to life. But it is a fun, interesting premise, and I like how this movie is filled with themes of not even per se death itself, but perhaps more so how to deal with death.
Is Missy in heaven, do you think?
I don't know, honey.
Spoilers, because the kid does die. Worst funeral ever. And this obviously puts the father in this difficult situation where he has to choose what to do with the body. You know, with him knowing the secret powers of the Native American burial ground. I like this movie. And it gets pretty intense towards the end of the movie. It's pretty hardcore stuff. You know, no Serbian film type of deals, but, you know. And great effects throughout. And then there's this creepy subplot involving the mother's sister. It's still quite effective. Plus, the little boy, he's the cutest. As well as their cat. So pretty. You know, before it's been run over. Yeah, I quite like this one. Perhaps it has to do with the fact that Stephen King himself adapted his book for the screen, you know, he wrote a screenplay to this movie. But then again, from what I understand, a lot of fans of the book, they don't really care for the movie. You know, they prefer the book, like they always do. Because apparently, like, a lot of stuff is left out and blah blah blah. I wouldn't know because I haven't read the book. Director Mary Lambert, she would go on to direct a sequel, but I've never seen that one. And, well, afterwards, more interesting titles like Urban Legend, Bloody Mary, and Mega Python vs. Gatoroid. Nice. Apparently a remake has been on the horizon as well for like several years now already. But I guess it's probably just one of those cases where at one point it's just there and, you know, nobody really cares. At least I wouldn't, so let's just move on. Because oh, we've entered the 1990s. And the first movie to be released in 1990. So, it's not Misery. But a mostly forgotten little horror movie called Graveyard Shift. So, this one, is it mostly forgotten for a reason, or are we dealing with a hidden gem here, perhaps? Directed by the associate producer on the previous title, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. And with me not being American or a native English speaker, I don't know what a graveyard shift is.
11 to 7. The graveyard shift.
Okay, so a night shift? In this case, a night shift at this textile mill or factory. In the pre-credit scene, this guy on the graveyard shift, he just dies all of a sudden. It's so silly. These rats, they're not impressed. So this new guy comes in to fill in his place. It's all infected with rats and shit, and what is this movie about? Well, he works for this asshole of a boss who at one point assembles a team, including new guy, to clean up this old basement at the textile mill. And oh no, there's something down here! It's scary stuff. So, to come back to that one question, it's probably mostly forgotten for a reason. It's the earliest source material in this whole series. You know, Stephen King wrote this back in 1970. So maybe the short story itself wasn't all that great to begin with? I don't know, since I haven't read it. But this movie sure as hell isn't that interesting. The last 20 or so minutes, they're kind of cool. They're pretty cool, actually. I definitely like the whole basement underground setting. It's pretty atmospheric, especially in combination with the score, which was overall quite good, like quite eerie. But the first hour is mostly like, oh man, just get on with it. It's kind of saved by the exterminator, played by Brett Dourif. Who at one point shines with this crazy monologue about killer rats.
That gray black son of a bitch would have nowhere else to go but inside.
He's awesome in this one. And figuring out what kind of weird accent the shitty boss was going for, that kind of keeps you busy.
Exterminator's working round the clock. He's tired. Needs more time.
But besides all of that, the first hour, you're mostly just waiting. Despite the movie creating an okay atmosphere.
I'll be back.
Oh no, they didn't. It's graveyard shift. More like graveyard shit. Nah, it's not that bad. But well it is. So let's just move on. Because the next one is actually quite the gem. You've heard it already. It's Misery. Directed by Rob Reiner, who, as some of you loyal viewers might remember from the previous video, also directed another Stephen King adaptation on Stand By Me. And, well, I adore that movie. So, let's see if he can pull it off another time, you know, like, making a good movie. Hope that's not too much to ask. Let's see. Well, apparently, after seeing how some of his work was being adapted into crappy movies, graveyard shit, Stephen King was only okay with Misery being adapted if Rob Reiner were to direct. You know, since he liked his Stand By Me adaptation. Hashtag citation needed. So, the setup it's pretty simple but oh so effective. Successful writer just finished up his new novel at this large in a small remote village. On his way back though, he gets into an accident during a snowstorm, but gets saved by a nurse, claiming she is her biggest fan, who takes care of him while waiting for the roads to be freed up. You know, to be able to take him to the hospital. How nice. However, when she picks up his latest novel and doesn't like what happens to the main character, she kinda goes berserk. But I don't want to spoil too much. It's just, oh man, I almost can't imagine anymore how it must be going into this movie not knowing anything at all. Really, so in case you don't know this one, you don't know this movie, and you don't know what I'm talking about, watch it, like boom, go, 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 now! Woo. And in the meantime, I'll continue and, you know, this will probably contain some minor spoilers. But damn, this movie is great. Both Kathy Bates as the crazy fan and James Caan as the bedridden writer, they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, Jesus, Kathy Bates is woo! I never really cared that much for the Academy Awards, but her winning one in the Best Actress category for this role, you know, good for her. Then again, I also love how convincing James Caan is, you know, considering he mostly only had his facial expressions to work with. But still, even besides the acting, oh man, the whole isolated setting, the building tension throughout the whole movie, with some standout scenes in particular, among which, of course, that one scene that everybody thinks of when they hear Misery. Oh man, it's great, it's very well done. Not sure what else I can really say about this one. It's not perfect. There's like one or two things that I don't fully agree with that I wouldn't have mind seeing done differently. But nothing that ruins this movie, you know, even in the slightest. Yeah, I'm a fan. At one point in his career, like really like many years after he wrote the novel, Stephen King revealed that the whole setup, you know, the whole idea of the movie, is basically just a metaphor for his alcohol and, well, mostly drugs addiction. And, you know, that is interesting. It does give the whole movie, you know, an extra layer of meaning. But at the same time, I do think that this movie stands perfectly well on itself as it is. So yeah, Misery, it's great. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. And then for us now there's one more. Let's see what it is. Well, it's Sleepwalkers. And if you're like, oh, I've never read that novel, well, neither have I. But in this case, it's because there is none. It's the only original story that Stephen King wrote for a feature film, I believe. You know, besides the stuff that he wrote for those anthology movies. Anyway, sounds good. Well, you know, let's just take a look. Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. It's directed by Mick Garris. I mostly know him as the creator of the Masters of Horror series, which I like. But apparently he's not all that beloved in the horror scene, if you will. Oh well, let's just give it a chance. So, the movie starts off with this high schooler just casually dancing with his mother. It's just, you know, casually, okay. That is a little weird. But then later, he goes and asks Mädchen Amick out on a date. And that's really like the most normal thing in the world. I mean, who wouldn't? She's so beautiful. Mädchen Amick, of course, of Twin Peaks fame. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right though. But as it turns out, this guy and his mother, they're sleepwalkers. Which I, being stupid of course, thought was, you know, just a person that sleepwalks. But no, silly me. It's a... What did I say again? Oh yeah, a shape-shifting creature that feeds upon virgin females. It's a common misconception, I guess. So the guy, he's basically just playing Mädchen. Typical fuckboy, right? Just using her to feed upon her. And, well, that's really all there is to it, you know, to the movie, that's it. And, well, people seem to hate this one, but I actually thought it was a lot of fun. The movie never really seems to take itself too seriously. You know, it really has the right amount of cheesiness and comedic tone to it. It has some cool gore effects, and, well, also some pretty shitty CGI.
What the fuck?
What the fuck indeed, mate. Some cool camera work. There's this funny police character. It has Mei-Chin. And some cool cameos. I mean, look, there's Stephen King again, but take a look at who he's talking to. First, Toby Hooper of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame, and then hop onto Clive Barker of Hellraiser fame. And then there's this other scene with John Landis of An American Werewolf in London fame, and finally Joey Dante of Gremlins fame. Some nice cameos. Really, in my opinion, there's just too much enjoyable stuff going on in this movie to really call it bad. But hey, that's just me. I mean, what do I know? I actually wasn't familiar with this movie, so I just went in basically with like low expectations, I guess. But I ended up liking it quite a bit. I mean, you know, for what it is, just a cheap, cheesy horror flick. I mean, I've definitely seen worse. Graveyard Shift. And well, boys and girls, that brings us to the end of this third The Films of Stephen King video. Let me know if you like this video, you know, like, or this series, because, you know, I can make some more parts. He wrote some more books. So, hey. Also, follow me on social media, you know, stay connected, because, you know, maybe one day I'll disappear again for like 2 months here on YouTube. At least on Facebook I post why, and that I'll be coming back soon. So you guys do that, and well, we'll see each other soon again. Cheers.